Okay, it's late and I might not publish this video until tomorrow, but earlier today I asked folks on my large long form social media platform what they were experiencing in terms of food prices and access to food under Donald Trump. Because we know that inflation is up. We know that the cost of many foods have increased dramatically. As a really serious coffee drinker, coffee prices are up 38%. Food across the board is more expensive and less accessible. Right, do you remember when Donald Trump on day one said that he was going to lower egg prices and he didn't fucking do it? He also said he was going to end the war in Ukraine on day one and he still hasn't done it. He hasn't done any of the things that he promised, y'all. My favorite thing to say right now, this is probably because my kid wants to be an attorney and she's like, this is a great line, Mom, that you should use in a closing argument in a trial case, which is Donald Trump, promises made, promises broken. And I'm like, yeah, it's so accurate. I use it all the time because it's so accurate. He is a man who makes promises he had no intention of ever keeping. How are y'all feeling? He said he was going to make America great. He was going to make us prosperous. He was going to lower food prices. He's done none of that shit. How are you experiencing access to food and the cost of food in 2025 America under Donald Trump? And 98% of the, 7,000 people who responded to my poll said that food is more expensive and it is making them have to make decisions about what they purchase. I asked people in the comments if they would elaborate. How has your purchasing of food changed? Like, are you eating different foods? Are you eating less of certain things? Have you had to cut out food entirely? I got a lot of people saying they don't eat out anymore. They don't go to restaurants anymore. And that they are choosing to purchase less meat, less kind of luxury treat foods, a lot more like rice and beans and lentils, a lot more having to prioritize their budget over the kinds of foods that they want to eat. And I had a number of people in the comments who said that they are actually experiencing food insecurity for the first time. And so much of my work in the before times was about food justice, access to culturally appropriate, nourishing foods. I think that we should have a right not just to eat, but to experience food as a source of pleasure as well as nutrition, and also a source of connection to our culture and something that helps foster community and connection. Not just connection to other people, to the producers of our food, but also to our environment. Now, our family was pretty food insecure for a really long time. We qualified for food stamps for probably about 15 years, but our family never took them. That's a whole other long story. But we did participate in basically like a gleaners organization, a food bank, and I ran the garden for that program for many years. That organization made the difference between us being able to afford to live in Portland and having to move somewhere like back to St. Louis where the cost of living was lower. It also helped us pay off our medical debt. We could not afford to feed our family for a long time without that Gleaners organization. And it just dovetailed so nicely with my ethics as a permaculture person, right? Reducing food waste is something that I really care about. And food banks and Gleaners orgs, they take food that is near expiring or was over-ordered or was dented or what have you from grocery store chains, from restaurants. We would get like day-old pastries from Starbucks or Pizza Hut, things that they couldn't sell and would otherwise get thrown out. They could donate to these organizations. Like a grocery store chain would have like lentils in their bulk bin, but the side of the tub got damaged in shipment and now they can't put it in their bulk bin. They have to write it off. They donate it and suddenly the organization gets like 80 pounds of lentils. Let me give you another example. I live in Oregon, right? And out in Hood River, they grow a lot of pears. Bartlett pears are the pollination partner for pears that are able to command a higher price on the market, like Camise pears, Bosque pears. But Bartlett pears don't command a high enough price a lot of years to make it worth hiring people to pick them and ship them to market. So they have gleaners organizations with volunteers come out and pick hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of pears that otherwise would just go to waste and then distribute them to families who are in need. Families like our family was for a lot of years. So food banks and gleaners orgs not only help feed hungry people, they also reduce food waste dramatically. There's reporting out today that the Trump regime is no longer going to be putting out their annual hunger report, so we won't have a good idea of how many Americans are going hungry, experiencing food insecurity. That's a real bad scene. I want you to think about why Donald Trump doesn't want you to know an accurate picture of how hungry Americans are in the wealthiest nation on earth, where he has cut food stamps, he has cut school lunch programs, he has cut hundreds of millions of dollars from food bank funding in every single state in the country. Right? Like most tyrannical regimes who want to suppress accurate information about the ways they're fucking everything up and reducing your quality of life, Donald Trump doesn't want you to have data going forward about how hungry Americans are becoming. Does that sound like greatness? Does that sound like America is becoming greater and more prosperous? Anyway, I wanted to talk about this because, again, longtime passion of mine, but two, because I saw a video in my feed. And I unfortunately read the comments and it really upset me. Okay, forgive me, I had to move because I have to plug my phone in. It's almost dead. So there's this woman who talks about what it's like to access the food bank, trying to encourage other people, if they are food insecure, to utilize the resource of the food bank in the United States. She put out this video talking about what it was like to go to the food bank and wait in a long line, and then what kind of food she was able to get there. I love this kind of content, destigmatizing accessing resources when you need them, destigmatizing going to the food bank, right? So here's a little bit of what she said.
116th in the food bank line. Let's see how long it takes and if we get any food.
So she went on to show the long line of cars in 2025, Make America Great Again, United States. Long lines at the food bank.
After 16 minutes, it looks like the second line is about pushed up all the way. Here is the pickup line, and as you can see, this first line is wrapping into the third line.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate her normalizing this and showing people what it's actually like. But y'all, I clicked on the comments. Some of them were like, Trump, Maha, make America hungry again. But the comments under them, perhaps people who can't afford kids shouldn't have a bunch of them. You know that most people who need to access food aid in the United States are elderly? Also good comments like this one. I wish people would realize this would all be in a dumpster if it wasn't distributed. That's right. Food banks reduce food waste dramatically. So this comment, if the food bank isn't utilized, their funding gets cut. Please use your food bank. That's the same for free lunch programs for children. It's use it or lose it for the funding. But y'all, there were dozens and dozens of comments, lots of expensive cars. It's very strange. Why do they all drive a better car than me? If your car note is over 500, no food bank for you. Brand new cars in line for food. How is someone driving an Infiniti QX50 even qualified to be at the food bank? If you can afford to drive a nice SUV, you should be able to afford food. Don't tell me the cars are paid off. Sell them and buy something small and buy food. This is the attitude of MAGA, y'all. It's an attitude of scarcity. It's why is it I don't have as nice of a car as a person in the food bank line? It's this pervasive idea from conservative America that if you're poor, it's a moral failing and it's your own fault. Or that people are accessing the food bank because they're somehow cheating and they actually have money. Speaking as somebody who accessed food aid for many years, if you are waiting in line for the food bank, you are somebody who needs that resource. In the United States, every working class person is one crisis. If you're really affluent, it's two crises away from being homeless. There are now more people looking for work in the US than there are available jobs. Did you know that people who were previously able to afford their home, nice clothes, or a car can lose their job and become financially and food insecure? All of the comments of like, just sell your nice car and buy a clunker. Oh, so you mean a car then that's going to break down every 2 seconds and somebody can no longer afford the repairs? There's just this horrible pervasive mindset from conservative America that poor people deserve to suffer and shouldn't have any night. They should like eat gruel and crawl on their hands and knees to access that gruel. There is no war but the class war, but conservative America has been taught to hate poor people, not understanding that those are folks who are like, you could be them, right? Like I'm college educated and I was that food insecure. We lived paycheck to paycheck. Do you know why? Medical and dental debt for our children, predatory student loans. We really do have a lot of education to do if we're going to get out of this. We really need working class solidarity. The fact that so many Americans begrudge poor people, hungry people being able to access food. This woman's whole account is destigmatizing the food bank. At a time when billionaires are siphoning off more of our money than ever and working class people struggle harder and harder than ever. Other working class people who are going hungry are not your enemy. You don't need to be jealous of them. You don't need to hate on them. you could be them. And the longer we live in Trump's America, the more of us are going to be in the food bank line.